Fairyland, a glowing land in the sky, where everything sparkled like a dream. The trees could talk, the rivers sang lullabies, and even the flowers giggled when touched. It was a world ruled by love, color, and laughter. And today was extra special. It was the birthday of Princess Mira, the teenage fairy of light. All of Fairyland gathered under the golden sun. Young fairies twirled in circles. Old fairies floated on flower petals. Talking butterflies sang a song just for Mira. Magical cupcakes danced in the air. It was a perfect day. High above, sitting on her flower throne, Queen Ranipari watched with pride. Her gown shimmered like stardust, and her magical crown sparkled with fairy power, the heart of Fairyland's peace. But not all hearts were happy. Far away from the celebration, under the shade of a glowing mushroom, sat a quiet fairy, Zurna. She hadn't been invited. No one even noticed her. Zurna's wings drooped. Her eyes stared at the party, at the glowing crown on Queen Ranipari's head. A painful thought grew in her heart. Why not me? Tears rolled down her cheeks. I wish I had that crown, she whispered. And something answered. A strange breeze brushed her face, cold and whispery. There is power that listens, said a voice no one else could hear. Come to me. That night, while Fairyland slept under a sky full of stars, Zurna flew away. She crossed the glowing border, past the talking trees, and entered the one place no fairy dared to go, the Black Forest. Here, the air was silent. The trees were twisted. The leaves didn't shimmer, they crumbled. The ground whispered in a language lost to time. Zurna shivered, but the voice pulled her deeper. At the center of the forest, hidden beneath a mountain root, was a cave filled with black mist. In its center floated a glowing crystal, dark, pulsing, alive. The whisper returned. Touch me, and I will give you everything. Power. The crown. Respect. Zurna reached out. Her fingers touched the crystal, and the shadows exploded. A swirl of black magic wrapped around her like vines. Her wings turned smoky and sharp. Her eyes glowed with red fire. Her purple dress became silk made of darkness. Zurna was no longer the fairy she once was. And Fairyland didn't know that its greatest danger had already returned. The next morning, Fairyland awakened to sunlight peeking through cottony clouds. The trees greeted each other with cheerful creaks. The rivers hummed as fairies fluttered over them, laughing, playing, preparing for another magical day. But no one noticed the small crack in the sky. A dark wind, thin as a thread, swirled across the horizon, invisible to most. High above, Queen Ranipari stood in her garden of glowing roses, speaking kindly to a group of young fairies. Her crown pulsed gently with its usual warm magic. It kept Fairyland blooming. It kept everyone safe. But suddenly, the warmth faded. The skies dimmed. A strange chill spread across the flowers. Then, boom! From the clouds above, a blast of black energy struck the center of Fairyland, sending petals flying. Fairies screamed and scattered. Rainbow bridges cracked. Sparkling towers lost their light. In the smoke, a figure floated down. Black wings. Crimson eyes. A dress that flowed like shadow. It was Zurna, but not the Zurna they once knew. She looked at Queen Ranipari and spoke with a voice like thunder. Your time is over, Ranipari. That crown belongs to me now. The queen raised her hands, light gathering in her palms. You don't understand what you've taken, Zurna. That crown holds every fairy's love. You can't steal that. Zurna's lips curled into a cold smile. Watch me. And with a scream, she launched dark magic at the queen. A great magical battle lit the skies. Ranipari's golden light clashed with Zurna's black fire. Fairies below tried to help, but Zurna's power was too fast, too sharp. One by one, brave fairies fell, their wings vanishing in glowing flashes. Protect the crown, someone cried. But Zurna dove like a thunderbolt. In one swift motion, she struck Queen Ranipari's chest with a pulse of shadow. The crown flew from Ranipari's head and into Zurna's hands. No, the fairies screamed. Queen Ranipari fell, barely breathing. Zurna placed the crown on her own head. It glowed faintly, then dimmed, confused by the dark power. "I am your queen now," Zurna hissed, rising into the storm. And with that, she vanished into the clouds, leaving behind silence, smoke, and sorrow. The skies turned grey. The trees stopped speaking. The rivers wept. Fairyland was broken. But in the shadows of that defeat, something stirred, not darkness, but a quiet determination. The surviving fairies gathered, carrying their fallen sisters in silence. And one whispered, "We must bring our magic together, or we will lose everything." Fairyland was no longer shining. The skies were pale and silent. The flowers refused to bloom. The trees stood still, whispering mournful lullabies. The rivers had stopped singing. Queen Ranipari lay weak inside the crystal dome, her magical glow flickering like a candle about to go out. The golden crown, now in the hands of Dark Zurna, had taken more than power. It had stolen joy. Across Fairyland, fairies gathered with heavy hearts. Young fairies clutched each other and cried. Teenage fairies, bruised and scared, lit floating candles for those they had lost in the attack. Old fairies hummed soft protective chants around Ranipari. Then, a voice spoke. It was Isla, a fairy elder with a voice as soft as stardust. "She gave all her magic to protect us. Now, it's our turn to give to her." The other fairies looked up. "How?" whispered one. "We're small," said another. "We're scared." But Isla smiled. "Alone, we are wings. Together, we are wind." With that, she stepped forward and placed her hand on Ranipari's fading heart. A tiny golden spark flowed from her palm into the queen's chest. Then another fairy stepped forward. Then another. And another. One by one, every fairy, from the youngest flutterbaby to the oldest leafwing, gathered around their queen in a great glowing circle. They held hands. They closed their eyes. And they gave. Each fairy shared a small part of her magic. Some gave light, some gave love, some gave laughter, some gave memory. It hurt, a little. Like giving away a part of your wings. But the magic glowed. It grew. It pulsed like the sun rising. Ranipari's gown began to shimmer again. Her silver hair lifted in the air. Her chest rose with new breath. And slowly, her eyes opened. She stood up inside the glowing circle, tall, golden, radiant. The fairies gasped, not in fear, but in awe. She was no longer just Ranipari. She was all of them, every fairy's magic, heart, courage, and hope now glowing inside her. "I carry you all," she said softly. "And I will protect you all." Suddenly, a great gust of golden wind burst from the circle, spreading across the land. The trees sighed in joy. The rivers began to hum. And far away, in her dark throne of vines and shadows, Zurna felt the air shift, and for the first time, she felt fear. The skies above Fairyland swirled with storm clouds. Lightning sparked across the horizon, glowing not gold, but black. At the edge of the kingdom, where the rainbow winds once danced, now stood Zurna, her throne carved from twisted branches, her crown pulsing with stolen light. Around her floated dark creatures made of shadow and smoke, whispering lies and power in her ears. But Zurna wasn't smiling. She could feel it. A light rising, far stronger than before. She stood suddenly, wings spread, eyes narrowing. "She's coming." Meanwhile, across the valley, Queen Ranipari hovered above her people. She no longer wore the same golden crown, but something greater. A radiant circle of light, formed by the love of every fairy, now floated like a halo behind her. Her wings shimmered with every color in existence. Her voice echoed through the winds. "Today, we fight not with anger, but with love." The fairies behind her raised their wands, staffs, and hands, glowing sparks lifting into the sky. And together, they flew. The sky battle. Ranipari and Zurna met mid-air, above the very heart of Fairyland. The winds howled. Thunder cracked. The skies turned violet. Zurna raised her hands, and 1,000 sharp black shards of magic shot toward Ranipari. But they dissolved in golden light before they touched her. "Why won't you fight me?" Zurna growled. Ranipari's voice was calm. "Because I still believe there's light in you." Zurna screamed, blasting wave after wave of dark magic. Trees shook. Rivers trembled. Far below, fairies shielded their homes. Ranipari rose higher, hands glowing with the united magic of her people. Then, with one final breath, she whispered, "For Fairyland." She released the energy. A spiral of golden light exploded from her chest, wrapping around Zurna like ribbons of truth. The magic wasn't painful, it was warm, soft, real. Zurna gasped. She saw images in the light, her younger self playing with other fairies, laughing, creating beauty, before envy grew in her heart. Tears filled her eyes. Her wings dimmed. Her dress turned grey. She let out a quiet sob. I didn't want this." Ranipari floated toward her, gently removing the crown from Zurna's head. "You were never unworthy, just unseen." And with that, she wrapped her arms around Zurna. The dark magic shattered. The sky cleared. The black throne crumbled into dust. Aftermath. Zurna was taken, not punished, but protected, into the Pari jail, a peaceful glowing dome of reflection, where hurt fairies go to heal. The fallen fairies who had given their lives in the battle, their bodies began to glow. One by one, they rose into the air and transformed into beautiful, shimmering butterflies. All of Fairyland gathered below to watch. Some cried. Some whispered blessings. Others sang the goodbye song. And the butterflies fluttered up into the sky, leaving trails of sparkling stardust behind. Final scene. Ranipari stood once more on her flower throne, but this time, her wings were a little brighter. Her smile, a little softer. Her heart, a little wiser. "I will never stop watching over you," she whispered to the butterflies above. And Fairyland bloomed again.